Now, Jason? Now?
Yes,
Now?
yes.
Hello, everybody. This is Ed Pugh, president here at Reaper Miniatures. We're here for Terrain Tuesday. How are we doing? And hello to everybody. Now, I won't be watching the screen much. Justin will be watching y'all to catch the questions and feed them to me. Past that, to catch everybody up, if you didn't catch the first episode, we're here to just build John. Last time, I showed the techniques we're going to be using. Rudimentarily, we threw together a raft. And then today we're going to start doing that. Now the goal is with this show, since I have the ability to stretch it and I'll be here every week, we're going to build something big that'll take theoretically several shows, 2 or 3. I really don't know. We have to get there and go. This time we're going to be building a trebuchet. Do you have a picture queued up from last time maybe? Justin will find that and they'll show you what we're going to be building. So
thank you for the gift bomb.
Oh yeah, thanks sir. Silverthorn, yeah. What we'll be doing is a trebuchet, and we don't really, there we go. We don't have a set of plans for it. That's good, that'll work.
That'll work, okay.
That'll actually that'll be what we're going to be building, is that siege engine. And we're going from the actual wood engraving. That I don't remember where that came from there. But as you can see, we'll just take it and see where it goes and how it goes. And we don't have any plans or anything, so we just start building the thing. So I'm ready to start anytime you are. If you want to give me a downward, and I'm going to show some people what we're going to do. All right, yeah, there we go. Now, what we have are really 5 major components on a trebuchet. We'll use this one instead, just so we understand what we're doing. You've got a sling up here, excuse me, right there. Okay, we have the arm, we have the ballast, we have the overall frame to hold it, kind of a thing. And then we have a trough here. That's where the ammunition or the load will come from. And what you're seeing in this one here is sort of a mathematical arc of it. The arm itself we slings way down, it be brought into position, counterbalanced by the weight. When it's pulled through, it slings up. There's a sling on this, there's a sling on this part here, so it actually works as a sling, and it pulls it out and throws the thing. These were more or less the Death Stars of the medieval period. If you read the history of this stuff, you don't really know. It's hard to say who invented it or what. You'll see, I've seen sources say it was 300 BC in China was where they were invented. I see others saying, oh no, it's purely a European invention, things like that. But there are a lot of good stories about these that are very much almost Star Wars. There's one where you'd have to look it up, it's around 1300. There's a siege, and the trebuchet is brought forward by the king. It has like 30 wagons to get it there, and all these carpenters and all this stuff. Anyway, he's building it, and the city sees this, or the castle he's sieging sees what's happening, what's being assembled, how large it is. It's apparently very large. It's supposed to be, I think, from this here, it's called a werewolf or something, the wolf. Anyway, they see it assembled, and they turn around and just come out and say, hey, we'll surrender. You don't even got to finish building it. You don't got to fire it, anything. And the king said, no, it doesn't work that way. You're just going to have to submit to my will. And he went ahead and built it and aimed it and went after him, and I guess they ended up surrendering anyway because he won. So they were like Death Stars in a way. They would go around and they could really just do a lot of destruction. And just having one alone or having several of them was that's how you just counted. That was part of your wealth and your power. So anyway, in this particular one, let's do the look down camera. They're actually a very complicated engine. We're going to get into this just a little bit more, and then we're going to start. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time on this. You've got this part back here. These are, I keep clicking, because I guess I'm not, so let me try different pens. There it is. This part here, this is actually a torsion part of the engine. What happens is the arm itself comes down, and it's pulled into place. This bucket's going up. At a certain point, this bucket's going to start to rise, and it's pulling on a rope that runs through here. And then on a turn here and goes up. And what it does is it pulls these together, probably, I'm going to estimate, it's not like I've ever built one, let's say that far. That extra torsion is what is used to bring the payload in the trough just up to speed. And it's a lot, sort of imagine pushing a dresser. That initial, you've got to use the extra, exert a little bit extra industry to get it sliding, but then once you've got it sliding, it's a lot easier to slide. This part here is just to bring that payload up to speed. At that point, then the actual weight, the ballast here, in its downward force is what's going to throw the arm and open the sling and throw the payload. But now what you don't want to have is this arm here, like you've seen a child's toy or anything in balance, sit here and do this, back and forth. So they've added this counterweight up here. And this is actually bolted to 3 points: the bar that holds the counterweight, the ballast weight, as well as the arm. And what it does is as it has a tendency to go back this way, this is going to exert a weight force backwards, and it sort of acts as a canceling effect. So it's like a brake in a way to slow this thing down and get it to go. So it's a rather complicated for the time. It's always been an amazing thing to have an infatuation with. So anyway, we're going to start building it. Now what I'm going to use for scale, since we don't really need a ruler, we're just going to go from the picture, is Sur 4 scale here. And this being a wood engraving, it's rather fanciful. We see them over here, sort of precariously balanced up here and pulling on the thing. So that's a rather large machine. He's going to be a little bit larger than them, but we're going to just go by for our frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to want to build bigger than that. 6, 7. This is supposed to have been about a 30-foot beam, which would be about 6 of him. Let's see if that's the size we want to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I think we'll actually go larger because I want to add a fantasy twist to this too. It's not just going to be simply historical. It'll have to belong to some evil overlord that drags it around and destroys castles. So we'll just go with, as a frame beam, I got some of the bigger stuff. Let's get this on here. I'm going to say, it's hard to tell. Here, where's the camera? The one I look at.
The one you look at.
Like
I can do that.
So we're going to go from about here up, and we'll build it as this is the frame. So now you can go back down. And need a miter box. We've got these. The miter box is one you want to get. Make sure it has a ledge to it. It allows you to push up against something as you're sawing. Not that it's really going to help. It will crawl everywhere. But
Thank you for the gifted subs, guys. Also, thank you for the subs earlier.
generally what I'll do on a hard piece like this anyway is score it. Now, being nice wood, this all was made by hand. Said you have 30 carpenters here. They're going to take pride in their work. This is an extremely expensive machine for the king or the overlord to build. So they will take pride in the work, but at the same time, it is going to be made with the technology of the time and by hand. So we will be giving it a warm look, weathering it. So generally, I'll do this. I'll match another one to it. Let's see. And what we're basically building at this point are these two runner beams that run right down the center. For a nautical term, they would be more like the keel. And we're not really worried, again, I'm not worried about them being exact in length, anything else.
Hello, Miniatures Den.
So at this point, we can just take some heavy cuts and get them done and get this down to a smaller, more manageable size.
So do cheap people at this point, I think, just compulsively spam it just in case. But no, we have no plans today to do a giveaway on the show. Because we're building a trebuchet.
Because the last time we gave away the raft, but I really don't have anything to do today. Now, what we're going to need now, the next part is to start framing this in, is we need to go ahead and get this cross section and determine that part. Based on what I'm seeing there, I'm going to go with about that spacing, and then we're just going to have to look at how we want to make the connections. We have to have a trough here that's going to ride on top of, and it doesn't stick out past that. So I'm going to guess we'll probably along here, we'll add a few of these, this size here, just to be able to get some symmetry to it. So about like that. We'll cut one, and we'll just match up to it. And I'm going to guess we'll do 4. We'll see. We'll get there, see how much wood we've got. Now this won't be, somebody asked me if we're going to make this functional and go shoot it. It won't be. It'll just be purely static. What we're working with here is balsa wood so that we can work it really fast. It is, again, designed more for terrain. There are, though, I got out and looked on the web the other night. There are a lot of places that sell kits that you can buy and build, and if you just want to play with shooting one and the geometry involved with that. Oops. Got to see at least where we're going. Now, Justin, did we get any emails last week with ideas of stuff to build?
No, we didn't, actually.
We didn't? Wow.
We did not.
Well, I guess I get to make the choices. All right. So we have a block there. We'll put that on for leveling. So we need we have here? Trough would go there to there, and we'll put for the tackle this area here. That might be robust.
Miniatures Den, you want to apply, or I'm sorry, you want to send an email to michael@reapermini.com. I'll go ahead and put it in chat now.
Okay. What are we doing?
They're asking about partnership.
Oh. Oh, I just happened to look up and see that building little houses and market stalls. Easily, we can do that kind of stuff. Today, we'll finish this because this is what we're going to promise. Now, on these larger things, what I'm going to do is drive some through. I need to get some into set. So, oh, wait, I didn't have any pliers for that. Let me get those. So I just drive it on down.
Dave wants you to build a tractor.
A tractor. Yeah, that was one of those things I checked off my life bucket list. I didn't even know it was on there. Reaper bought a tractor, for those that aren't aware of. And I've now had to use it, or I've used it several times. It was a skill I didn't realize I needed. But I'm having fun with it. Okay. There we go, right there.
Someone wants you to make a ballista.
We could do a ballista later.
But like they said, a proper late Roman one that uses torsion instead of tension.
Right. Well, we just do that with, well, what's the difference between torsion and tension?
Well, I think torsion in this case, what they're referring to.
The only way I know is they're using the horsehair of the ropes, and they're doing on the sides. And when I build them, I used to just use rubber bands in there. Because when you build the smaller catapults and the ballistas, you want them to actually shoot. And there's not much fun in doing it the other way. Okay, so now, playing the matchup game. And all we have to do when we get these set pins in, that's just to hold the framework. We just have to be sort of close. We're not worried about it being exact. Come on. How did 2 pins get stuck?
Proctor wants you to build a Trojan horse.
Trojan horse. Yeah. That's doable. That would be very doable. He would have to paint all the Trojans we're going to put inside of it. And we could do the rabbit, the Trojan rabbit, I guess, for the Monty Python fans. So, at this point, the way I do when I've got something like this, and we're going to have to more or less get several items to dock at one time. You're just seeing that side. Let me see if I can get a little bit more. There we go. Is I want to get them in place. Before I put any glue on, I want to go ahead and just get them into place and get them set. And get a little bit, there we go. So which side do I like better? Give that a little bit trim on the edge. A little flatter. All right. Okay. My pliers. So I'm going to take this and sort of stick it on in a little bit just to hold it in place. Same thing here. And then we'll go back here and look at these.
Thank you, Sarducci, for clarifying that it's trebuchet, not trebuchet.
Oh, whatever.
That's, if you read chat, you're busy right now. Just keep building your trebuchet.
God almighty. I'm not from Texas.
According to Sarducci, it's an English word, not a French word.
Oh. All I know is that's what I had used to pronounce it and heard it pronounced for years. But what do I know?
You know how to make one.
Well, from a picture. I've seen them when I was in Europe. They're nice. They're interesting, I guess.
Those are all replicas. They don't have any.
I don't think there's
like
anything. There's
leftover.
nothing's going to survive. Yeah.
That's because it's wood.
One of the things I've often wondered, and I still think about, and I'm going to have to go through. So really, all I'm looking for is, do I have a pretty equal? Does it all look good? Does it look straight? Yeah, I can handle this. We can work with this. and it'll fit for a good base. Our trough will hold. We'll be able to put our wings on. So at this point, we're just going to come back up a little bit, and this is where we're just going to drop glue in. Now, theoretically, what I'm building here is the top, because I've looked at it and spaced it. So I'll turn it over, and you see where this is because I was just doing my weird cuts. I've got some weird gaps. So this is the part we're going to glue from. And
also, it's okay, Miniatures Den. It's not. It's one of those things where like people say it either way. Although to be honest, 90% of people actually say trebuchet. So it's just not something you often hear. Oh, that's great, Nomad Zeke. Thank you. Hey Ed, he actually gave us phonetic pronunciation.
Okay, I don't see it. I don't see it real quick, but
Nomad Zeke.
Oh, there, I thought Scots pronounced it. Yeah, that would work. Yeah. I guess the Asian they would have been who flung do. You know, that guy got fired for that. After that crash, that FAA person listed the 4 people in the command, and he got fired for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, is this the one that the news lady actually read
them out loud
in a very serious manner?
And she was making fun of their names by saying, you know, or their accents or something. But she was like, "We too low" and all this.
Mm-hmm. But she didn't figure it out when reading the teleprompter.
No.
I guess
that wasn't her job to figure it out. She was instructed to go read it. All right. Bam, bam, bam. We got
no show would be complete without an Ed phone going off.
Is that mine?
Yes, that's not mine.
Oh, I guess I've got to turn it off. Let me just turn it off here. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to do that. Ron, if you're watching, I know you're giggling. There we go.
That's true, Silverthorn. Didn't they, at one point, use the trebuchet to hurl, maybe it was just catapults, to hurl, like, people who had died from the bubonic plague?
Oh, well, no, honestly, yes, horses.
Or horses, sure.
I read several accounts. So the theory was they would kill horses and then let them decompose in an area to get them extremely, sort of OCD here, so I want them straight, to get them ripe or, bloating and everything. Oh. And a horse weighed about, this will hurl 300 pounds, about 3 football fields plus, so 350 yards.
That's crazy.
And so it would easily have hurled, and they would, and you see in the movies they're hurling heads or bodies, and I'm sure they would get bodies too. I mean, if they could go dig up the dead or not bury the dead. But yes, you were trying to introduce and if not so much actually, because the plague was again transmitted by the rabbits, not the rabbits, the rats.
The rats, correct.
Etc. But at the time they didn't know, and of course, just the implication, just the thought that we are now have a disease scourge running through our city, right, etc., was more than enough to instill fear, which is what they were trying to do.
And basically, all they knew is that it was communicable by person, but they didn't know anything else, right? Like they didn't know.
Yeah, I don't like that one there. So I hate to start back over on that lining, but I didn't cut it straight, so it doesn't want to go straight. There we go. Pow. You should close better that way. Yeah. Okay. So. All right. Now I don't like that one, but well, I'll live with it.
It's a nice ladder you built there, Ed.
It is.
It's missing a few rungs, but.
Okay, now at this point, I would go ahead and add, because we want to have this look really robust, we'll go ahead and add a few extra, which are really designed. Let me find those that I was using the other last week. They were really good for this. More for show. So we're going to start the detailing literally as we go. Yeah. And The detailing could, in theory, take as much time, which I can come back later and do that. I'll show you what we'll do on the ends. I just won't sit here and do all the ends.
No, guillotine. This will not be a functioning trebuchet.
Trebuchet. Fine. Look, do you say Bob just because it's B-O-B?
No.
Okay.
If it's the opposite of what you do, then that's what I would do. Because if you haven't figured out this is just arbitrary.
All right. So, you know, in effect, all we're going to do is add a pattern, like you'd see here, write that. Now, I can come back and do that after the show, so we won't mess with a lot of that right now, although we've got time, but we're getting into this sort of heavy.
Well, that's
I do want to
cool.
add in a few, though, so that we can, it makes it a stabler, add stability.
What about a battering ram, maybe?
We have one. I brought one up last time. Remember, it was a shielded battering ram.
Oh,
that
that's
I
right,
brought
you
up
did.
from when I brought up the siege tower.
Forgot, yeah, you did make one.
That
of
was
those.
last week, just to show you stuff from the past. This one I've been playing in my mind of actually building a traversable bed on the bottom of it so it would allow you to change its angle of attack by rotation, which is completely non-historical, but would it give it a much greater functionality? Who knows? I was watching, we play Age of Empires. They came out with that new HD edition,
Oh,
I guess, or whatever.
I haven't played it yet. Is it any good?
It is. The graphics are a ton better.
Are they?
The AIs are even a lot harder than the upgraded AIs they just introduced in the older
So
edition.
they did improve the AI again.
Oh yeah, it jumped right out and whipped our ass pretty good, and we're not slack players. I don't think we're professional players, but we're definitely not slack players.
They added like 3 new civilizations too.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even look at that. I didn't get a chance to explore it that much.
Yeah, I need you guys to give me a thorough review of it because Michaela and I almost bought it this last weekend, but then we played 7 Days to Die instead.
I always play the Goths, so I stuck because they're sort of a two-edged sword. They can't build walls,
Oh,
stuff like that. So they're you sort
the
of got to
Goths
be.
can't build walls?
No, they can build the wooden palisades.
I thought that was the Mongrels. The Mongrels? Is it the Mongrels? No, the
Huns don't
the
have to build-
Mongolians. The Huns. That's what it is.
The Huns
sorry.
build walls, but they don't have to build houses. They're a nice one. I mean, it really sort of depends on the mood at the time I'm in and what we're doing. A safe play is the Brits, in a way, to me, because you can build walls and the archers and build blocks of archers and stuff like that.
Oh, the longbow.
Now this is something that happened right here. That one, when I pushed it in, even though I started in this center, rotated out. And whenever you have that, just pull it back out. And if it's straight, just find a slightly different hole and retry. But if it's bent, just get another one. Don't ever try and go back. So we'll stop there with those. I'll come back off camera and finish detailing them so we can get more to the building. Now with this in mind, before we add the wings, these two sides here, which would be about the same thing, we'd come out and build the basics there. I want to go ahead and look at what we want to do on the trough and see. I was thinking of something like this. Yeah, could work together. I do have a little bit thicker wood. Here's another piece of that. That would probably, for this size, because when you're taking and dragging a 300-pound payload across wood, you're going to wear it down pretty quick. So we would build it. Interesting. If I've got a square, which I do, is that the same? So that's what we would do.
That reminds me, Gent. I have to
Yeah.
get some Band-Aids up here just in case.
In case we get a puncture.
A puncture, sure.
Yes.
Or a slip from the scalpel that you have.
I'll play with that in my brain, but I think that's what we're going to do with the trough, and I think that'll fit width-wise in here because we want to clear everything for that, and that would give us a trough. I've just got to assemble that real quick and get it drying. So it looks to be about almost 2/3 of its length.
Coffee said that their kid came in from school and said, "What's Ed making today? A ladder?"
Yes. In my second time, that'll be. Now, since we're using the same equal pieces here, or 2 of these, so when we try and L-shape it, you can see where we end up with a weird side. So I've got a square here that we'll just go ahead and either add to the top or use it here in the center. Probably just for aesthetics, we'll use it in the center. And we'll do that. Let's see here. Get that. Yeah, we can have it broken in. That'll add character to it. And all right. So just so we can get it drying, because we're going to have to do a lot of texturing to it, for lack of a better term. And then I guess we don't need Band-Aids. I could always just pack glue in it if I stab myself.
Please don't do that on Twitch.
What, the stabbing or the gluing myself back together?
All of it. Don't do any of that.
It's getting hard out there.
Yeah, I think Twitch has a distinct no, like, you know, intentionally hurting or mutilating yourself on stream.
Accidents are okay.
Yeah, I don't even know that that's true. Let's just keep this a blood-free stream, please.
All right. It'd be intentional if I was to go take some blood thinners or something and then do it to make it extra red.
Just like,
Right.
like a
And as y'all
Tarantino
saw
film.
last week, when I'm going to clip these, we use this block here. And so I can go ahead and push what I want to go through so I can keep the stud or whatever I want to do for the style. And I have this part sticking out. And so to keep it from flying across the room, we stick it in the wood. We reach under here, get flush with it, snap it. It stays in the wood, doesn't fly, and we get a nice, easy. That's just a reminder of the new people. So when you're doing this at home, you aren't flinging this at everybody in the room. Oops, the wrong ones. Which is definitely going to get you in trouble with somebody in the house.
Is Collins in here? Because I noticed Grazietti said that Collins takes the fun out of everything. I can absolutely second that, but I didn't know he was in here.
Okay, it's interesting how to cut and when. All right, we'll cut now because I can't cut the L shape. So I want to get this a little bit more flush. So we will go in at 90 there. And while we're holding it down, we'll come back over here. And I'm not cutting exactly at a perfect 90 because that will give us a little bit of a irregularity when we go to put it together. Some weird angles. So at that point here, where is this where we are? Yeah. Okay, so instead of making a long poke and trying to balance everything at one time, what we're going to do, and I have learned the hard way that it's while you're randomly sticking this in, you will end up dropping one on top of the other. So you learn to always double check that. Now we're going to go to here, to here. We're going to put this on top of our glue right here.
That's funny, Deacon. He said
What?
that Collins is eating chips in Dave's Camaro. Just lays like basic potato chips where there's just crumbs everywhere.
Oh, I forgot. I need my paper towel.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll get glue.
I'll just
There we go.
give you the. I'll cut to the main camera.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for the sub. Non-zero value.
I don't think anybody's allowed to eat chips in him. Well, it depends on which Camaro.
The what is it? The ZL1 is yesterday's news, so we can eat chips in that one, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't care if you eat in the ZL1s. We can go eat chips in that. Oops. That doesn't matter. I got in there enough. But
Oh, I had a run-in with a deer this morning. Not literally, but like I saw a deer. By the way, I'm going to tell you guys that. Get this though, it's crazy. It was walking across the road very casually, and I pulled past it. It didn't even seem to be in a hurry. But get this, this is the kicker. It was an albino deer, and
Seriously?
it was huge. Had a big antlers and everything. I'm not a hunter, but I don't know. But it had huge antlers.
Are you like making this up?
I'm not making. You know, I should have taken a picture of it because
Yeah, you should have. It would help the credibility.
I slowed down, and it didn't even like rush when I slowed down and stopped next to it. It looked at me even like
well,
we
if it's
locked
what you're
eyes.
describing, it knew it could whip your ass.
Well,
and
hey,
eat your car.
It's a giant albino stag or stag? No, buck. Buck is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And I don't think it. I was not about to get out of my car. I slowed down because I didn't want it to dart back in front of me. So
I don't know if we told everybody last week. I don't remember when it happened. I remember it happening, but I don't remember if we told them about Dave and I were about 6 o'clock in the morning. Oops. That's 2. And driving down 407. Anyway, there's a little farm to market road heading east, and a deer came out and rammed into the side of Dave's car. He never even saw it. It just hit the driver's door. And neither the car lost. Well, the deer lost too. It was a mutual. And right now, car's up in the thing.
thank you, Proctor. I was not hallucinating due to drugs. He texted me and told me to lay off the drugs.
I
as
am
it
too,
were.
man. I mean, I'm sure there are albino, and I'm sure they're large. I'm sure there's, but I mean the odds. You're sort of playing something here. Now we've got this guy. Let's do this real quick. Get rid of that
Whoa,
one.
Reaper Dave, he's been planning this for months. He said you were making this up as you were going along.
I figured as much. He would.
That's lies, Dave.
All right. So at this point, what we'll do, because we're going to let this sit and dry, but I want to catch the glue when I can, is I've got some sanding sticks somewhere in this mess.
I
I
agree, Twisted. I stopped on the road, but I was, still I was awestruck by the fact that it was just standing there trying to get through the fence.
Now, what I'm doing here is also not so much getting the surface smooth. I'm not so much worried about that. Is any glue that's squeezed out. While it's still wet-ish or junk like that, this will really sort of ball it up and rub it off, knock it off the surface, so I can get it out of the corners and stuff. Because when we go back to paint and stuff, you don't want to deal with that kind of stuff too much. And now for texturing, I'll go back. We'll go back. How much time is it? Oh, we got a little time here. We would have to, and I really hadn't thought about how to do it. I've got a tool down here. Let's see what we've got. We're going to have to, we've got that. And then there's some. Oh, there you go, that'll work. It's not the right tool, but that's always what makes it more fun.
Dig, 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 throws it into the camera.
So when you don't have right tool. This is a pen. I've never used it before. It came for free from Micromark, so I have no idea. But it has a sort of a shape on it that we'd be looking for. So we'll see if it even lasts long enough. I did put batteries in it. And effectively, it's got no torque, which is probably good.
That is an awful noise.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. I'm going to have to go get a regular Fordham, get rid of that. I've got a nice X-Acto cordless, it'll work. But what we're going to have to do is go down the center of this is effectively a payload keeps getting dragged across this. So we're going to have to add that. When you're building stuff and you do all this kind of marring with tools and stuff like that, don't worry about it. That's part of the whole weathering and aging. It is designed to be a tool of war, not something that they were building for the king and his daughter's wedding or something. We also go back and take your X-Acto, whatever you want to use. I always sort of try and take these edges off or down a little bit because this didn't stuff, the timber is not going to have come out of a lumber mill in a perfect shape. And if you'll take sort of varying gouging as you're going here, it just starts adding a little character to the story, so when you're looking at the piece it looks less kit manufactured or factory manufactured. And also too, since it's coming off trees, you've got knots and all sorts of things that you can add to it by just putting marks on it as you're going down. And it helps if you saw the RAF, if you go back and watch the RAF episode, that'll be part of what allows us to get all of this sort of this nice organic look we're looking for. So being one of the major pieces, and I can go back and I'll add more texturing. I just want y'all to see, oh, I'm sorry, right here. What we're doing is just going in and taking chunks out. Definitely anything that looks mechanical in its edging. Now, once you've got this done, stuff like this done, and it's just a random, then I would take various tools you've got and go along and just put scrapes and the kind of things. This will show up, they're invisible right now to us, but they'll show up when we start the painting and the staining and the aging and all that kind of stuff. So we would do that. But now we're roughing this in, so this is actually one of the major components. The way it's going to look, or this will be actually in there, would be around, let me look at the plans. Believe it or not, this is the rear, because this is where we're going to put our windlass here. So something along, yeah, about those lines right there. That'll be how it's going to mount on this piece, like so. So next, we've just sort of got to figure out how to do that. Let's go ahead to expedite it and give it a little bit better, let's just put a line down the center. Let me see where I've got a straight edge somewhere in here in this mess. What was it Michael came in and said? It looks like, oh, something just explodes.
Explodes.
By the way, I do hope everybody had a lot of fun over Thanksgiving. We sort of chilled. So that's when we were playing the AOE game, was on Thanksgiving.
Oh, is that what you guys are doing?
Yeah. I mean, there's football, there's just going, and at night we got to the AOE and started doing that. Now what I'm looking for is more or less the center.
I watched another crappy cowboy game.
Oh. Did Dave told me a joke. What's the coach's name? He's the old ex-cowboy player.
Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. That he wanted Jason Garrett to be his
pallbearer.
One of his pallbearers, so he could let him down just one more time.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's going to give me a straight line at least, and then I can look at it and see if it's straight and in the center. Yeah, you can see that on the camera, which is close enough. It'll work. So at this point, there's a couple of ways to do it. Probably the best way to do it, maybe not the fastest, but the best way, since we have this and it's just going to be at a 45, is we're just going to go in here and cut. Now, first off, I need to take this and sink it down in.
I agree, Lord Kasumba. I can't. They actually lost to the Eagles, which is shocking, but, whatever.
So I'm going to use this to get my depth that I want to go to initially. I always undercut. I don't overcut because I can't add anything back, but I can always take out more. Once I have a little bit of depth, I'm just going to come in here like this and push this forward. And now we're making our little trough or our wedge that's going to sit in. And we just take it out to the depth. And we want it to get to look like it's around 45. Oops.
I wonder if there are any parts from a trebuchet that are still surviving today.
Oh, there are. I mean, when I was there, I don't know if it was I was in London and we went to go see the Tower of London, which they have a bunch of all their artifacts. So King Henry's armor, all a bunch of stuff. Which is actually very interesting to see. They had a very big obsession with the size of a man's private parts. I don't know what we can say on here. I guess we can say penis. And so all these suits of armor were made with this erect penis on it. And there were some, like the King's was obviously the largest. Mm-hmm. And it was I don't know. It's stuff I'd never even knew until I went in there and I thought, wow.
The Brits are obsessed with a phallus.
Yeah.
Phallus obsession. It's fine.
Something, or the King was, I don't know.
Although, to be fair, it's not just them. I think it's all of the cultures across, all of humanity.
Yeah. But anyway, the inside of there, I guess back to the point is they did have a bunch of, it was iron, but it was basically pieces from various types of siege equipment. There was a box, some areas that were displaying that. Also, too, their artillery. That was a good museum, or a good area, apparently they had all, again, keeping cannon was a sign of status and power, and they had them all stored in a building, and that building caught fire, and the fire got so hot that it melted a bunch of them, and they drooped and welded together and things like that. There's a lot of history there. A lot more than we've got over here. They've been doing history a lot longer than we have.
Well,
So-
even more so, like most of our good history is on the East Coast. It's here
Yeah.
in Texas, we've got the Alamo, basically.
Well, for us, 200 years, it's in an antique store. It's great. In Europe, if it's 200 years old, it's in the secondhand store. It's still not old enough to be an antique.
Correct.
So anyways, you see, we just cut a trough, and it's not real pretty, but it doesn't have to be because it just needs to be able to support this wedge and come down in there. That'll come when we start building more. We want to be able to come back and add this. Now the trick is pretty much to determine whether or not it's in there deep enough. And I don't know, I think I'll go a tad deeper just to be a little bit more. Kind of thing. So where is anybody traveling? Where are you going for Christmas? Anybody going to put that in? See who's going to go the farthest. Where are you going to go, Justin? You going to stay local?
Actually, it's funny you asked that because remember how I asked for the day after Christmas off, and then that Monday
And I denied it, and we laughed at you as you cried. Yeah.
I actually I don't remember all of that, but
Oh, okay.
well, we're going to be here for Christmas, but it literally later Christmas Day we're going to be leaving to drive to New Mexico.
Really?
Because we're going skiing. So,
Oh, that'll be fun.
just for a couple of days. It's
Have you been
not-
skiing before?
Not since I was about 13, I think. So hopefully I've had knee surgery since then, so hopefully they hold up.
That's a good way to screw it up.
So if you get a call, I'm there. You know why.
I just decline it.
You got you got to come pick me up.
Oh.
Actually, I'll just call Dave. Dave will come pick me up in the
Yeah.
Yanko. It'll only take what, nine tanks of gas,
Yeah.
10 tanks maybe.
To
Just
get
one
him
way?
out of Dallas, it would, yeah. That thing eats gas. Yeah, it's like one time we after he just got it, we're driving around, and we pulls in the gas station. I said, "Do you need gas?" He goes, "There's bear shit in the woods." And that's like, yeah, because he did. And we drive around that day, and we hit the gas station 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
All right. A little bit more here in the center. And a look there. So we'll come back to the final installation of the trough, but we do just want to be able to rough this in and make sure we have it before we start expanding out from here. So
Hey, Jacob, how you doing?
that'll be for that part. What time we got? Oh, it's about 15 left. So now, because we're going to more or less build, this is like, I guess in a way, like building a ship. This would be your keel. We're going to start working these up from that end. And for this, I wanted to go to a slighter, thinner gauge of square, yeah. This here, which is going to be a little bit shorter. I mean, they show it matching up, but I think it would work. We might use these for that, and then this that I've got in my hand for these side parts. So we could do the wings. And to start the wings, let's see, do I have any of that pre-cut? All right. Got to figure out how long we want it to be. So I'm going to say that is a little bit less than half. So we go to there, we get to here, and we'll put that there. And that still looks a little too long. So we'll pull up a little. I can only imagine with them, this thing, how it would rock and shake when it would fire. But I guess they didn't have OSHA on the battlefields.
No.
So they didn't need to worry about it.
Every shot you're wondering if that's the last one.
If that's the last one for you and the machine.
Correct.
I'm going to go with that as length. And let me double check it. I don't want to regret it. Yeah. Probably shouldn't cut on the paper. Excuse me. All right. See if we can get a good edge on this real quick. I'm trying to get a new bottom edge. There we go. At least it's square. To work from, there we go. Pow. There. etch it, our complicated tools. Now we'll need to have everybody come up with a name for it. It's got to have a cool name. Evil Overlord's gonna have it. Okay, that's our center marker.
Can we call
So
it
we have
the SS Pooflinger, even though it's not a boat?
This is the geometry. An SS what?
Pooflinger.
Pooflinger. Yeah, you could do that. A little bit closer to midpoint. Wow, right about there. So we'll start with our wings here. Yeah, and like that. Okay, so I need a second one of these. I've already got it.
Better yet, what kind of wood would they have made this in back in the day?
It depends. I mean,
Historically.
the English obviously worked with oak. Would be a good. I mean, it's going to have to be a really good wood.
Did they only use yew for longbows? Or yew for bows? Or would they have used yew for this as well?
No, maybe on those two torsions, because
Yeah.
it would have been a very flexible wood. Here
Right.
they would have been looking for more durability.
Gotcha.
I do know that the beams were two pieces wrapped in all that rope. You can sort of see it here in this drawing if you can catch it. You'll see the two pieces and then it comes down, and then this is all, in a way, banding here, banding on the end and this to hold it together.
Right.
And the two pieces themselves, it's that theory of, you can break one arrow, but put a bundle together you can't.
According to Forever Night, they also said mainly oak.
Oak,
So-
yeah.
I'm going to go home and watch a documentary on trebuchets now.
Yeah. There are some good BBC ones. Through the years, I've caught several, but it's been a long time. When I was messing with all this stuff heavy, it was a long time. I didn't have, the internet wasn't around to make it easy and fast and see cool pictures and models of people. I still think these are too long. This is what I'm looking at.
No,
and
I mean,
this is
it's...
the beam we're making.
Yeah,
And
it's...
but here's my rear length and my front length. And I was looking at that to this geometry. And again, this is showing this here. I'd rather like this one.
I would say it's probably a third of the length of the main beam.
This has almost a cross look to it, more so. A little bit short, but more of a cross look, and I'm getting a little bit of a plus sign. I'd probably need to take another ½ inch off, just for aesthetics. We'll take a cube off, whatever one of these cubes are.
I guess what I was getting at is I imagine these whole things would have been very heavy.
Oh yeah, 30 I read somewhere real quickly that took like 30 wagons to transport one, and like 40 carpenters and 7 iron workers, and there was a whole business to this. But then again, this is a huge capital expenditure for a king at that time anyway. I mean, just like for the Empire, the Death Star was a huge capital expenditure. So, or nation's battleships or whatever they're doing. Yeah, like that. Okay. Need to get a pencil. Okay. So we're going to mark right here and come on the inside. So to stab these initially, we'll start with our pen. We're just going to put them on in here, and we're going to bring them through. Oh, okay. Because I can mark on it with a pencil. We'll add that to the pile. I think Collins is right. It ends up being this big mess here.
Yeah, I believe I described it last time as a tornado.
Yeah.
Of
Now what I've done here is just pushed the pen. I'll put it against my finger right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and push it through to the edge and do the same on the other side. And then we're going to poke it on through and just stick that one on with some glue. And then we'll come back and add another couple in for stability. And that'll get those in. And they're not going to really be very strong until we add its cross supports. But that gets the major foundation here. Because we got about 10 minutes left. So at least we made very good progress with the size, the scale we're going to use. And for Sir 4 scale, this is going to be quite a big, it sort of looks more like that wood engraving. Yeah, I think we chose right. Had that one come through right there. Those things always. We had C1 popped right through right there. So we wanted to decide it was that one there. So I'll take this and I just sort of roll it up a tad. I don't want to pull it up without it. I just want to get it up enough so I can get up under here and pull it out. And then back in. So I'm going to say it's going to take probably 2 episodes to build it, or at least a good chunk thereof, and then 1 to paint it and stain it. Got to decide. I have to think, while you always see these pictures of them being done in natural wood. There we go, I finally poked myself. You see them done in natural wood. I have to think they painted them, because to be able to run it out there and then, and in the harsh conditions and if it was raining and everything else, the last thing you wanted to do is have the wood absorb all this moisture and expand and soften and throw your geometry way out. So I'm just trying to make sure I got that one in more straighter. So we'll come up with a color. It's still way off. Damn. I guess I should use both eyes. But anybody could do it that way. There we go. And see, there's my official, there it is right there. I've now bled.
All right, after this, go see HR so they can dock you up.
Yeah. You can fill your forms out for the medical liability. Yeah, that'll work. And let's get this one through a little bit. Make sure we're good. Yeah. Okay.
What exactly is tallow? Is tallow fat? I don't remember. Or is it like an organic compound that's a mix of all kinds of, gooey stuff?
I don't know. I've heard it. I don't know.
Oh, it is fat. I was right the first time. It's more fun with the second guess, though.
The guesses is what actually brings all of it together. Because then you can always go, well, that's what I meant. And we'll do the same on this side. Yeah. And then we'll do our edges. By the way, building update here, freebie.
Oh, yay.
Just kills me. So we have to engage a civil engineer to do a drainage plan for the county, all this junk. And
You guys have to get engaged to a civil engineer?
yeah, that's what I feel like. Wait, you're going to feel at the end, I'm expecting a ring, okay?
Okay.
But anyway, so we prepaid him. We said, dude, we need this fast. Can't drop the ball. Here's your estimate. We're just going to prepay you, okay? We don't want to met that way. This is a done deal. Let's just get it done, right? So it's been about 10 days or so. Dave's like, we need to get in touch with him and keep him on track. I said, okay. So right before we came up here, I said, well, I'll call him. So I call him up, and he goes, no joke, oh, yeah, I ordered that topography map. I don't think it's been in yet, and I didn't think to give them a call. I'll get right back on that. Thanks for calling and reminding me. Yeah.
How old is this civil engineer?
Just some old guy. I mean, just like anybody else, I guess. I don't know. 40s, 50s, 60s, pick a date, pick a decade. He's a boomer. That's it.
He's from the 40s, 50s, or 60s?
I don't know.
Because that is significantly older.
So now at this point, that's going to be our frame, the heavy part of the frame, and then we will add to that. And, boy, you just can't see the whole thing on there, can you? There we go. And we have the trough, wherever it is. I've thrown it offside now.
You can back our camera out there some if you want.
Yeah.
Just bend it up.
So, yeah, there we go. Oh, I should have done that to begin with. There we go. So you can still get more of an idea of where we're going. And then what this is effectively these 2 main beams. There's our trough, and then here's our first of our wings there. So we still got a little bit more time. So now, what I'm going to do now is dress these edges. This stuff right here, the ends. And to that end, if we look at this here, these come in at this angle, and that's again for this cord to come up and go like we discussed to provide the torsion. So those will have to be rounded out like so, in a way. And up front can be square. I'm assuming that's what they've got, but I generally like to dress it up as something at a bit of an angle to give it a little bit more dressed look. Again, if you have 40 carpenters on there, they're going to have a discussion more of how the end result finished looks than the reality of it. And to make nice cuts, we're going to, if I can find them, change blades. There they are. No, wrong. Let's see here. There they are.
Just so you guys are aware, that is not a sound effect or a soundboard bite. That is
Actually,
100%
my blue
him
tub
digging
of
through
full
it.
of all this stuff. Yeah.
He's basically digging through his toolbox, his Reaper toolbox.
Yeah. So this is an old scalpel here, so it doesn't want to cooperate real well. Bring that to the edge so I can catch it. Because you obviously don't want to pull on these things with your fingertips. Catch it there, and then use that to whatever. I'm not going to get defeated by this. I'm sure I am when it's over with. There we go. Oh. Yep. Nope. Still not in. There we go. There we go. All right. So on this, we'll come across, give us a nice cut, angle. And since we're running with the wood, it's actually a cross cut, but we're running with the grain. I should be able to just keep it straight and push on down. I'm not really slicing as much as I am pushing. And there we go. And at the end we can stub it off. There you go.
I'm going to bring it a little closer to the camera so we
Oh,
can see.
sorry. So in the end, this is what we ended up with is our rough cut. And then we can, when we go back and do all of our dressing, we can do that. Now, push that out of the way. Come back over here, sort of visually line it back up. And again, we're pushing. That's right, I was off a tad. Yeah, it's close. And there we go. Knock it off. Come down a little bit more. And so that'll be for this end. And again, these are just our rough cuts. So I'll have to come back. Now something you can do when you're doing that, and I'm playing with it, and it needs to be drying and not be knocked off and put back on, is don't hesitate just to take pins and stick them in the side a little bit. And all you're doing is just pinning it in place to dry. These don't need to be pushed in very far, but they'll hold the piece of wood the way it needs to be. And allows you to do whatever you've got to do as it dries. And you can go back later and add more support in, but for right now, okay. So,
By the way, it is 4 o'clock.
is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Time flies when you're building a trebuchet.
Trebuchet. I'm sorry.
You got to say it. That's a win,
Yeah.
guys.
All right. Yeah, we'll go with that. And on this one, we'll have to go around. And this is going to be really sort of a trickier cut, only in as much as I've got rough here. So in effect, what I will do is just sort of like that. And I took a chunk off, and that's going to be really sort of problematic with it. But probably better off here just to cut straight and then come back and round them off. I think that'll be my easier plan of attack. There and there. Like so. And then I can take a smaller slice here to start rounding it for that part. And same here. And same here. And now when I get it really close to the rough shape like that, then I'll use the sanding boards to just come back in. And I'll do that after we're done so I don't have to waste time. Y'all can see how sanding goes. So anyway, we'll stop there. We'll pick this up next Tuesday. And next Tuesday what we'll be doing is adding the next section. Let me get the map again.
Okay.
So we have to build. Things like this and this is all added at the very end. So we've done this part, we've got our trough, and we've got our initial wings. So next Tuesday, what we're going to focus on is all of this superstructure here to get it into place. And then at that point, you're really starting to see the very end. But we still have to build the arm, and I would hope that next week we would get that part and the arm done. And then the following week we would probably do all the detail, our weight box, our counter, get our axle in, all that kind of stuff. And I've been thinking about this. We might actually go ahead and build a loom to make this sling, and just because it's going to be visual, not functional, and I can show you how to do that real quick and what to do to play with it. And but we'll see. I'll think on that. So really, that's where we are, and that's what we're going to focus on then. So I would think here in a couple weeks we should have this done, and we could get on to little houses and secret trees and stuff like that. All of the neat stuff that makes it fun.
Okay.
So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this. No, we're not doing a giveaway today, Evermeet. Now that I'm looking up here, I saw that. I don't have anything to give away in this show. We're really keeping those for Reaper Live. But I do think, to answer the question, Sadie's show, what's it called?
Painting Platinum.
Okay. She'll be giving away the stoppers, the pokies, little pokey tools. I saw a pokey tool over there that you had one. Let me see one. Oh, there's one there, Justin. Would you see if you can slide that to me? Or whichever. There we go. Perfect, man. On her show that they'll be doing these, you'll have to do a look down. And so the little paint pokey tools. On Ann's show, I don't know what she's chosen, but that'll be the item there. The general stuff will be on the Reaper Live Thursday night at 6. I don't know what David and John have planned for their show. But that's how we're going to structure the giveaways, because we can't just do a big giveaway every show. It'd be fun, but we don't have that much stuff laying around. So anyway, I want to thank y'all and hope you enjoyed this. No, Coffee Nerdy, it will not be functional at the end because we're building it out of balsa wood and stuff. But if you do want to play with one, I would advise, I used to build if we build some catapults, somebody wanted a ballista. And if anything, we'll knock a few catapults out and use rubber bands for their engine, and you can fly, you could have a lot of fun just playing with the catapults and stuff. So, and they're built out of balsa wood as well. So anyway, guys, if y'all have any questions, send them on in. And other than that, I want to run over the shows. Tomorrow is Wednesday, nothing. And then
Correct. No show
Thursday
tomorrow.
is Sadie at 3 o'clock. And then we do Reaper Live, Ron and I, at 6 o'clock. And then on Friday at 3 o'clock, it wraps up the week with Dave and John. And that's about it. So that's all I know. And then basically get out to all of our social media, do all the stuff. I'm trying to get my PSAs together, but I don't remember them all. So anyway, guys, y'all have fun. Stay safe out there. It's that time of year, so be careful wherever you go. And take care. So have fun. Bye.
And we're also doing a raid, by the way.
Oh, good, good. Well, so you waited till I did the bye. So.
I did.
Who are we going to raid? No, Ann tomorrow. What's on Ann's show? Because Ann's out of country right now.
Correct. So it's either you or nobody.
Me or nobody. Me or nobody.
And
Does that mean it's me?
That
it's
means
Wednesday.
means it's
Guys,
you.
we'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow, and I think I've even got a beholder we'll go paint. I saw one there I was playing with out of a... I'll explain tomorrow. So yeah, we'll do a show tomorrow. So Wednesday will be tomorrow, Toolbox, and I'll go ahead and it'll be just a one shot. We'll go and we'll have some fun with it.
That'll be awesome.
All right.
All right, guys.
Now who are we gonna raid?
We're raiding someone called Poly Abyss, and
Somebody called that?
And they're
Are they
that's
worthy
their
of a raid?
channel. I don't. They're sculpting.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I've always liked watching the sculptures.
Yes.
It's sort of amazing how that. While I'm pulling stuff out of junk, they're just pulling really fine art out of putty.
And I don't even know what they're sculpting, to be honest.
Well, hopefully it's not family friendly, because then it'll even be more exciting.
All right.
All right, guys. Have fun.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Now he's giving me a countdown.